Hey guys, it's Troy. Welcome to another episode. Stop expecting life to be fair. Make it fear you. Stop expecting life to be fair. Make it fear you. All right. Now, the fundamental mistake that all of us make all the time, and it's really hard to correct this even when intellectually we know the truth, is in thinking that life is in some way fair or should be fair, or that there's some kind of like moral compass that is operating in the universe that should ensure that things happen in a manner in which, you know, everybody gets their just desserts and everybody's treated equally and everybody has, you know, the kind of life that they want, I suppose, or at least an outcome that they believe to be fair, to be just, to be deserved, given the output that they've done. So say, for example, you know, you've been in a relationship and you put a lot of time and effort into that relationship, but then you get dumped on Christmas Eve, okay? There's a tendency for us as human beings to think, oh, that wasn't fair. You know, that's just not fair. And probably, yeah, you're right. Probably that is a correct assumption to make. It isn't fair because you put your heart and soul into that relationship, or it could be a creative project, or it could be a sporting endeavor, or anything really. You put everything into this thing and the outcome isn't what it should have been given the input that you delivered, and that isn't fair. That isn't fair. It is unfair. It is horrible, and in many instances it can be damaging to you, right? It can be very upsetting. It can make you feel bad. It can make you feel like life is a waste of time. It can make you think, well, I've tried it then, I gave it everything, and now look what happened, so I'm not going to bother next time. I'm going to go on the internet instead, and I'm going to go on people's video comments, and I'm going to complain, and I'm going to moan, and I'm going to whine, because at least that's an outlet for my feelings, right? We have to, all of us collectively, stop thinking that life is going to be fair, because unfortunately it isn't. And I've seen this time and time and time again, and I've seen this in my own life, but I've also seen it in the lives of other people around me as well, people that I know, people that have left us too early, right? Is that fair? No, of course it's not fair. There are people that I know right now who are in hospital, okay, because they are unwell with various things, and they were good people, they were trying their best, they were doing everything they could, and now they're in that situation. Is that fair? No, it isn't fair. But unfortunately, that is life, right? And we've got this, I'll tell you why it is. It's because of storytelling, okay? Storytelling is on Bill Nighy's podcast, he put that as one of his banned words, storytelling. It's a bit cringe, it's a bit of a cliche, but narrative power, let's say. It's because of the power of narrative, right? We're brought up with fairy stories, we're brought up with Disney movies, we're brought up with narratives where, generally speaking, I mean, of course, this has changed somewhat as we got into the more modern era, but the classical story, generally speaking, the antagonist, the baddie, gets his just desserts, and the good guy and his wife or his future wife, whatever, ride off into the sunset, and justice is served, right? And so stories are very powerful, and as human beings we take this stuff on, and we believe it in our psyche, we believe it in our subconscious, right? So we've embedded this idea into ourselves through hundreds of years, thousands of years of conditioning, that, and of course religion as well on top of that, which is another great purveyor of storytelling. The different religions, they're all based on stories, all right? We have conditioned ourselves to believing that this is how reality works, this is how the universe works. You need to watch some early Woody Allen films, or actually anything through the Woody Allen canon, really, because Woody Allen was an existentialist, and his belief was always that life is unfair. Look at things like Crimes and Misdemeanors, look at things like Celebrity with Kenneth Branagh, okay, some of his early movies. What you see in those movies is that things just don't work out fairly for the protagonists, for the characters, okay? Things are random, right? Things happen randomly. The whole message, really, of the film Celebrity is that things happen because of luck, You can walk out of a relationship and you can think, oh, things are going to be great, I'm going to really find myself, I'm going to go on and find that amazing person, and it's going to be so much better for me. And then you just don't, Or alternatively, you can get dumped in a horrible way, and your ex-partner moves on, and they think they found this amazing, person who's the love of their life, and then they get dumped. And then you meet an amazing person, and they're left there thinking, oh no, why did I dump Troy? What did I do? Oh my God. So there's no rhyme or reason to any of this stuff, okay? It's just that life is inherently unfair, because life is inherently random, okay? Life is a series of random events, which we try to paper over the cracks of this in society, right? We try to pretend that there's some grand narrative going on, and it's not that we can't control our destinies, because I do believe that we can to some degree control outcomes, and that goes into sort of discipline and routine and habits and the things that we do. We can certainly make it more likely that we're going to achieve certain outcomes than not, but in the end, in the bigger arc, the truth is that there is, unfortunately, great unfairness built into life. It's baked in, all right? It's part of the cake. Okay, and you can't just eat the icing, you have to eat the cake as well, and that's sort of how it is. So I think that when guys come into the dating space and they're looking to improve their dating lives, and maybe they do a lot of work, all right, we have clients who've done a lot of work in this area, and they're still growing, they're still building their confidence, they're still building their vibe, they're still building the way that they present as far as women are concerned, right? It's work in progress, and many of those guys could be forgiven for thinking, this isn't fair, right? I've done all of this stuff, I've done all of this work, and I'm not seeing yet the results that I would like to see, and that's not fair. And yes, in a way they're right, because they have been working very hard, they have been doing a lot of the right things, but it hasn't quite clicked into place yet. And so they're not yet, and I stress the word yet, but they're not yet seeing the result that they would like to see. But sometimes it takes a little bit longer than you hope, okay? So there's a couple of things coming out of this. The first thing is just this awareness, first of all, that life isn't fair, and any endeavor that you undertake, whether it's to improve in dating, or it is to learn a martial art, or it is to learn the violin, or whatever, right? You may end up not being very good at it. All right, it's just, you may still, after loads and loads of practice, end up not being very good at it. I've started various things, I've started various projects, and I've carried on for a bit, and I've maybe worked hard at it, and then I've realised after a while, I'm just not particularly good at this specific thing. There are other skill sets that I have, that I am very good at, that come to me much more naturally, all right? But you also have to couple that with, I am going to stay the course, and I am going to shape the world in my image. I'm going to bend reality to my will to the greatest degree that I possibly can, in the knowledge that sometimes luck doesn't go our way. Okay, there's a combination of things here, because as I say, on the one hand, life isn't fair, events are random, and sometimes you luck out and sometimes you don't. Having said that, on the other hand, if you look at success stories, it's often been said, there's no such thing as an overnight success. Most people who are good at something, and by being good at something, generally that means they obtain a result, they obtain a positive result from whatever the thing is. Most people who are good at something are also people who work very hard at it and who don't give up at the first hurdle, okay? Now, there's that stat that often gets posted around about the number of businesses that fail in the first year. It's something like, or sort of the first 5 years, it's some huge number, like 90%, 95% of businesses fail after the first 5 years. But maybe you needed 6 years. Maybe you needed 7 years. Maybe you needed 8 years, right? Maybe you needed a decade. Okay, perhaps you ran out of money, perhaps it became untenable, whatever, I get that. But the point is that success takes time, okay? Success isn't always just going to creep up on you and overnight your life's going to be changed just because you've done some moves in the right direction. Sometimes, and this is where faith comes into it, okay? Not faith in the religious sense, but just faith in a sort of life sense. Sometimes we have to carry on doing the right things, the things that we know are the right things, even in the absence of proof, okay? Even in the absence of any proof that this endeavor that we've embarked on is working, okay? And that's certainly how I've approached life, or it's certainly how I've approached life in sobriety, okay, which is the last 20 odd years. I have sought to start things and then stick to them, okay, until if for some reason there's a reason why it becomes completely untenable. But most of the time, you start a project and you stick to it, okay? And you keep going. And even if initially the signs aren't that success is going to come to you, you carry on anyway, because that's just how life works, all right? The harder and the longer that you work for, the more the odds tilt in your favor, okay? Once again, title of the video, life isn't fair, okay? So it's not always 100% of the time going to work out in your favor. But if you want to tilt the odds towards you, it's by doing the thing more. It's by working harder at the thing, whatever that is. So if it's social skills, all right, if it's dating, then you've got to go out and be social. You've got to go out and talk to a lot of people, all right? You've got to go out and talk to a lot of people that you find attractive, and you've got to crush your anxiety around that. You've got to improve your conversational skills. You've got to improve your vibe. You've got to improve the manner in which you present, the manner in which you come across to people, and keep practicing and keep doing it. And that is going to massively tilt the odds in your favor. And a lot of people give up too soon. And I think part of it is because of this perception that things should be fair. But how do you measure fair anyway? Is fair, well, I've done this for 3 months and I haven't got any results, so it's never going to work for me. Or is fair, well, I'm relatively on a low level with this thing, whatever this skill set is, and so I'm going to practice for as long as it takes, doing stuff because mentors who I've chosen specifically because I know they know what they're talking about have told me it's going to work if I stick at it long enough. I'm going to continue doing this thing for the long term, okay? You've got to play the long game in life sometimes, right? With things that are really important to you, you've got to play the long game. You can't just fold at the first hurdle, because there are going to be setbacks. Life isn't fair. There are going to be things that go wrong, but you've got to keep going. So, a little bit of a philosophical rant, a little bit of a motivational rant, combined into a wonderful Christmas confection for you. Hope you enjoyed this one. Do give me a comment below. Let me know what you think about whether life's fair or not, and the role of luck and the role of persistence. If you want coaching with me, drop me an email, troy@realtroyfrancis.com, and subscribe to the channels if you haven't already. And I'll see you guys again very soon. Bye-bye.